building something, Bats. And it's up to me to find out what it is and stop you.
The Joker takes over Batman Brave and the Bold, and things don't go as off the rails as you may anticipate. Joker, the Vile and the Villainous was the season 3 opener for Batman the Brave and the Bold, and it was an episode that was presented as taken over by the Joker, with him as the protagonist and Batman as the antagonist, courtesy of the change in perspective. It's also an extremely loose adaptation of Joker number 2 from 1975 from the Joker's original solo series, although really it just takes some elements, because the core plot itself is quite different. It is interesting to see what was taken and what wasn't, so of course we'll compare and contrast a little bit. I'm Sasha, this is Casually Comics, and let's see what happens when the Joker takes over Batman's show.
Looks like Batman's the fish that got away.
And I have a sinking feeling this is only the beginning of his dynamic deviltry.
Joker, the Vile and the Villainous, which is a nice flip on the show's original title, first aired on April 15th of 2011. It was written by Jim Krieg and directed by Ben Jones. The swap starts off right from the teaser, wherein you're seeing Kamandi, and you're of course waiting for Batman to show up, but instead the Joker shows up and helps Misfit defeat him and takes over Tiger City. He also destroys the Earth, which leads into the intro, which is refitted for the Joker. So you see the same things, but with the Joker, and the heroes are swapped out for villains, which is fun, and you can play the Who Do I Recognize game. Same inside the episode. I see you, Eraser. The episode opens with Batman getting something from Atlantis.
At last. I'll have to thank the Atlantean Science Society for their contribution to my little experiment.
The way it's framed, because we're in the swap perspective, it looks as though he's stealing it. Also, it's just nice to see this swim outfit for the Joker. It's a throwback. This episode does a good job of making Batman appear grim and unyielding, which is a contrast to how the tone of the series surrounding him is for the most part, which is more lighthearted, playing more with the Silver Age tone, because while Batman the Brave and the Bold pulls a lot from the Golden Age as well as the Silver, the tone it adopts is a bit more silvery. It does work that from a villain's perspective, especially the Joker's, he's dour and slightly scary and a stick in the mud.
Bats, this obsessive little project of yours has clearly left you unhinged. I like it!
The Joker helps free the Fisherman, which is kind of him, he could have just left him there. The Fisherman is an Aquaman villain who debuted in Aquaman 21 in 1965. There's a surprising amount of villains named the Fisherman, actually. The Joker is pondering just what Batman's up to. What's he planning? Must be something big. And he goes to brood about it at the villain bar. The animation for Brave and the Bold takes a lot of nods from the Golden Age, particularly Dick Sprang artwork. So seeing a brooding Joker in this style works rather well. It's that frowning Joker. There's something about the look on that face. It's quite striking. Now the villain bar is a veritable who's who of obscure villains. Some now less so, time of recording, see Polka Dot Man or Mr. Polka Dot. But there are a lot of fun people here, and it ignited my desire to do vids on some of them. And also some who weren't here, like the Clock. Not the Clock King, the Clock. We've already done vids on some of these people, like the Eraser's there, the Ten-Eyed Man is there, eyes on his fingers. But you also have Angle Man, Zodiac Master, who is someone I've wanted to do a vid on for quite a while, because he has an edgy update. You see the Bouncer, who is wearing a suit that gives him unlimited bouncing abilities. The Clue Master, one of my faves here, Mr. Camera. It's a helmet, not an actual camera, at least the Golden Age version. We also have the Spinner, who on top of being a D-list supervillain was a fake psychic by day, and probably also sometimes by night. King Cobra is there, and there's a nice touch by having Dr. Poison be the bartender. Note how the Joker gets a color-coordinated drink. It's fun.
John Wilkes Booth on the rocks.
We also can't forget Signal Man and Dr. Double X. Very different from Dr. Triple X. That's not a real villain. I'm staking my claim now. It's a quick scene, but it's a lot of fun to see some of these deep cuts. Some of the characters there only showed up a few times. Some for good reason. Come on, now is the time for Mr. Camera to return. Look at the millions of views you're getting on Skibbity Toilet. People have cameras for heads there, and TVs and all kinds of things. The kids are responding to cameras as heads. Now the Joker is going to be teaming up, because that is part of the aspect of Batman the Brave and the Bold. He teams up with someone. The character the Joker is going to team up with has a long history, even if he may not be as well known, and that's the Weeper.
You invented super criminal shtick as we know it! They called you the Crying Crime King.
The Weeper is one of the Fawcett Comics characters who would eventually be acquired by DC, but he first debuted in Master Comics number 23 in 1942. He was the villain for Bullet Man and Bullet Girl. His first story was called The Weeper, and that also introduced his gang, the Bittermen. He also drove a hearse, because of course he did. His name was Mortimer Gloom, and his original occupation was Sad Clown. He was also a founding member of the Revenge Syndicate, which I'm just bringing up because I want to tell you that the main founding member was called Murder Prophet. Oh Oh, pre-code era never changed. There were two Weepers. The second was his son, who debuted in Mary Marvel number 8 in 1946 after his father died. It's kind of vague. It's just he died at some point. Lots of the connections in the early Fawcett comics are just kind of happening. But the version of the Weeper we're looking at for this episode is the OG one, because they use the name Mortimer Gloom.
Mortimer Gloom, aka the Weeper. You'll be wailing behind prison walls when I'm done with you.
Now, while this episode may reference Joker number 2, the Weeper isn't exactly who the Joker teamed up with in that comic. In that, he teamed up with Willie the Weeper in the story The Sad Saga of Willie the Weeper, which happens to be written by Denny O'Neil. The character is similar to the Weeper, but different, because it's been established by this point that there are alternate Earths and that the Fawcett characters live on Earth S. But this character has a similar gimmick with the crying, but has a different backstory. The episode we're looking at uses some elements of this story with the history of the original Weeper, down to featuring Bullet Man in a flashback.
Thousands of innocent lives will be lost!
Thousands?
Now in the comics, the Earth 2 Joker also teamed up with the Earth S Weeper. That was in Justice League of America 137, which was a many characters from different Earths crossing over, and the Joker and Weeper teamed up. But they don't really pull from that one. It's a shame. The Shade has a fantastic headshot there. Look at it. After you arrest him, you can maybe hire him for a commercial. Now, Joker number 2 doesn't have Batman in it. So all of what Batman is doing in Joker Vile and the Villainous doesn't come from there. Batman in this episode has created this kind of all-seeing eye, almost precog, but not quite pre-crime detection machine. It'll be able to locate supervillains, spot them, and see any crimes in progress. It just so happens that usually with his supervillains, they are committing crimes. But the eye turns to you when a crime is happening.
This device will detect every crime as it is happening and summon the police, or me, immediately to dispense justice.
If this is a direct reference to a specific Batman story, I'm not aware of it. So let me know down below, because you know I'd love to read any specific issue, especially if it's old. In general though, this is giving me Brother Eye vibes from when Batman constructed the program to be able to get information on the metas and it all went awry, this stemming out of Identity Crisis, wherein after the assault that Dr. Light perpetrates on Sue Dibney and they wipe his mind on the Watchtower and Batman comes up and they wipe his mind too, which launches the season of paranoia, which leads to him not trusting anybody, which is part of why he creates Brother Eye, which is then later co-opted by Checkmate. It's a whole thing. So this eye definitely has some feelings of that, even though the way it's operating is a bit different.
I'll be seeing you, punks.
Batman's gone too far.
Again, this episode really does a good job of painting a scary Batman, even if it is from the villain's perspective of this being unfair. Because of how unfair this is, the Joker and the Weeper team up to pull off a big heist and stop Batman. They're not gonna let him launch this thing. But before that, the Weeper needs to be trained up because it's been a while. This is one of the elements taken from Joker number 2, wherein Willie the Weeper couldn't complete a crime without breaking down. But the thing was, he came up with amazing plans. So the Joker takes it upon himself to cure him, as he says he loves a challenge, but really he just wants to get in on the sweet, sweet plans. But both issues have a showing of the Joker trying to get the Weeper, or Willie in the comics, to be able to complete a simple crime competently.
Bravo! Like taking candy from a baby! You're ready for Batman.
In both stories, they're playing off of the humor of the different dichotomy with the two, that one is laughing, one is crying. But the episode has a more overtly comedic tone. It's there in the comic, but there's also a bit of a devious undertone. There's just a slight aura of menace there.
You have been at the mercy of cowardly and superstitious criminals for too long.
Superstitious?
As mentioned, the basic plan for these two is that they're going to stop Batman from launching this eye. It does not go well.
Rich or vile, Weeper. Still not evil enough to get the job done, are you? Never were.
The anti-crime eye of Batman goes forward. There then follows the brief breakup of the two as the Weeper feels he isn't villainous enough to be of any help, while the Joker is still determined to end Batman's reign of order. The Weeper gets back into the game when he's inspired because he sees a young burgeoning pickpocket put back the gum he was gonna steal because of the threat of Batman's giant Brother Eye thing. So the Joker and the Weeper end up teaming up again as the Joker storms the giant anti-crime bat signal.
Looks like you need some new material, Joker. You're too old for this game, Weeper.
While they destroy the signal, they do also get stopped by Batman. I guess Atlantis didn't have more of that thing that they needed because Batman doesn't rebuild this. What the episode has been building to is the end scene.
Weepy, what are you talking about?
There can only be one king of crime in Gotham, and that must be me.
Where the two main villains swap their usual emotional trademarks, with the Joker breaking down in tears and the Weeper laughing.
Joker? Crying? Now that's funny.
This is another moment that's taken from Joker 2. At the end, you do see that reversal. There are some differences though, although both do contain a double cross element. Who crosses who is swapped. The Joker is equally prepared in both. The episode has an extra dark moment where he implies he wanted the Weeper to kill him, as it would have been the ultimate prank.
No, you fool! The Weeper was about to claim his true destiny. You robbed me of my greatest prank!
Now in the comic issue, the Joker and Willie are planning this liquid platinum heist, and the Joker double crosses Willie and ends up siphoning off the platinum into another truck. And then he tries to double cross him. All of this after getting Willie to a point where he could complete a crime without completely breaking down, even though he does still cry. However, the Joker ends up getting captured, and at the end, he cries, which in turn makes Willie laugh because he followed from behind and sees him get captured. However, it turns out those were fake tears. And the Joker knew that that would get Willie to laugh, and he wanted to give him a good laugh because he's about to throw him under the bus for the platinum heist. It's a bit convoluted, but it's a way to get that swap. It's playing upon the same idea that the episode is, of these two villains have kind of opposite gimmicks. What if they ended up swapping at some point? Outside of the whole Joker taking over the show and having it presented from a different perspective, that feels like a lot of what this episode is building towards as well. But it has fun with it, and it has enough other clever elements to keep it a decently entertaining episode. It also gives some depth to the Weeper and plays with a generational aspect of villainy in Gotham. The energy surrounding Batman as this menacing, oppressive presence is very well executed, and the swap from Batman to Joker as protagonist feels smooth, and they do a lot of fun things, like the mirrored intro or all of the obscure villain cameos. Pairing the Joker with the Weeper is an interesting idea on paper, but in presentation a bit less so. The concept, while amusing, wears a bit thin by the end, although Tim Conway does an excellent job voicing the whiny Weeper.
Could have destroyed an entire city that night. But I hesitated.
There are also some solid reference jokes to other things for the two of them outside of the whole one laughs and one cries.
Oh, you silly cat, I love lasagna too!
It's still a good episode and has a lot of care and love put into it. It's just not as standout or memorable in terms of the Batman Brave and the Bold lexicon of episodes in general. Still solid though, and plus 10 points for Bullet Man. And the little details there, like the film grain on the footage and the standard American in quotes transcontinental accent they give him, were nice touches.
Weeper, you just don't have the moxie to stand up against the ballistic force of justice.
Bullet Man's actually really interesting. He's called that for the shape of his helmet, which is a gravitational helmet that allows him to fly. It's not because he's fired out of something, which is what I thought when I first saw him, because it made me think of that joke from The Tick.
This looks like a job for the human bullet. Fire me, boy!
So that was Joker, the Vile and the Villainous. Not the meatiest of ideas, but fun and well executed. How did you feel about this episode? Is it one of your faves? Do you disagree entirely? Did you read the Joker's original solo series from the 70s? Do you just want to hear more about Bullet Man? Your thoughts, I want to hear them. Please leave them down below. And while you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking Saturday night to spend discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.